Hey, it's Andrew Morgan, host of the Nomcast, the Netflix original movie podcast. Each week we preview and review the biggest Netflix original movies with special guests from the film industry, the music industry, comedians, and of course our fellow critics and podcasters. The Nomcast is available on nomcastpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts, on the socials at nomcastpod, and is a part of the Forgotten Entertainment family.
Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
I was going to say, like, the whole point of Star Wars is to get in to shoot those friggin' things to kill the Death Star. You're talking about the whole design of that movie.
I'm a little...
Things didn't go the way you thought.
No, I'm just a little...
Stallone's playing soccer?
Yeah.
What's going on? I'm watching this.
I saw that at a very young age, and I didn't...
You're coming at me hard.
I'm not coming at you hard.
Yeah, you are.
I just don't believe her choices. Her choices are ridiculous. Give me an emotion.
Hello, I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And you're listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences, whether it's because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the movie simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or perhaps don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit it. If you enjoy our podcast, we'd love to hear from you. We're on Instagram and Facebook. Find us. Our podcast is available on all platforms with a backlog of 150 episodes for your listening pleasure. And that is it. And that is the opening.
Oh, so good. So good. So good.
Right? What are the podcast awards? The Ampies or the Potties or something like that?
I'm sure there's Casties. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of them.
You just have to pay a quick fee to nominate yourself for each category. I mean, that's
how it works, right? That's
we can
fair.
get by that, right? We can quick shout out to the Webby Awards, where I went through that and I tried to do that with our podcast. I was like, let me just see how much it would cost if I submitted to certain categories. The bill came out to like $1,800, and I was like, please get lost.
Unbelievable.
Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense if you're a podcast like that you're produced by like Wondery or something like that, or Amazon, or like, you know, whoever does who does the Bill Simmons podcast? What is his network? Whatever his network. I mean, like they would fund that bill for you. They would pay for that for you. But for us, for independents, no, that ain't happening.
Yeah. So it's all a sham. And that's how it works.
All right, so that's the last episode of Forgotten Cinema Podcast.
You'll tell we will not be on the Webbies.
One day, if we want to. Somebody will pay that fee. How much do you have to pay to guarantee a win? Exactly.
More than the other guy.
A lot.
It probably keeps going up.
What are we doing today?
We're doing Shallow Grave from 1995. Not to be confused with the other Shallow Grave from like 1984 that also popped up when I searched for it.
Technically, I think this is from 94, but it came out in 95 around here. But
gotcha. Okay.
You're right.
When accountant David, Christopher Eccleston, Dr. Juliet, Kerry Fox, and journalist Alex, Ewan McGregor, are searching for a fourth roommate for their trendy flat, they settle on the aloof Hugo. However, they soon find Hugo dead of a drug overdose beside a large sum of cash. After some deliberation, the three others decide to keep the money and to dismember and bury Hugo's body. Soon, each roommate starts thinking about keeping all the money by scamming the others. This is Shallow Grave.
Now, first of all, that was obviously written by an American, because why didn't they just say flatmate? Roommate for their flat? It's a flatmate. Come on now. All right, so Shallow Grave has a runtime of 89 minutes. Love that. Rated R. Production budget of $2.5 million. Release date, it came out on Friday, February 10th, 1995. I know I mentioned that it was a 94 film. I think it was in Sundance or some of the festivals in 94. So it started its Cannes. Yes, it was in Cannes. Yep. It started its circuit run in 94 and then got picked up. So released here the 10th of February, 1995. An opening weekend, it did $105,000. Good job. Domestic, it did $2 million, but worldwide, it did $19.8 million. So obviously is a much more popular movie internationally, but which honestly, for shame. Production company was Polygram Filmed Entertainment, Channel 4 Films, Glasgow Film Fund, and Figment Films. Distributed in the United Kingdom by Rank Film Distributors and in the US by Gramercy Pictures. So went out the 10th of February, went up against The Quick and the Dead, the Sharon Stone, Russell Crowe, Gene Hackman, Leonardo DiCaprio. Who else is in that? That's it, right?
I think that's
a bunch of other people.
That's a good movie.
It was a good movie. I like that. That was Sam Raimi directed that. Billy Madison as well. That is the first Sandler film, which I have an affinity towards, but you know.
We are all dumber for having sex. May God have mercy on us.
I love
all.
that.
That's
I love
my
that
favorite
clip.
line.
They have that clips everywhere too. The 17th of February, the week after, you had Just Cause, Heavyweights, and the Brady Bunch movie. A couple favorites for Butler there.
I do like the Brady Bunch movie.
You don't like Heavyweights?
I haven't seen Heavyweight since I was a little kid. I really don't remember much of it.
Ben Stiller's funny in it. The 3rd of February, the week before, you had The Jerky Boys. I'm not a fan of that. Boys on the Side, and a movie that we did for our last Forgotten Horror, In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I'm not a big Jerky Boys guy.
I like some of their like bits, but I've never seen the movie.
I don't like humor where the other person doesn't know that
they're
in on the game. I don't like that kind of humor. I just think that's cheap. Not cheap, but it's like that's an easy target and it's not fair. And
True.
If you're on the other side of that, I'm not saying that I have been, we all have been, I'm sure, but not saying like I have been where I've been, need therapy for it. It's just not fun. I just don't
like crank yankers.
Yeah, I'm never been a fan. And I know that I don't know. We worked with somebody who like did that. They would crank call people like on the weekend. I don't want to say the person's name, but yeah, and it's a stupid thing. Anyways,
yeah,
this movie was directed by Danny Boyle. I believe this is his film feature directorial debut. Actually, it is his film feature directorial debut. Mm-hmm. He won an Oscar for directing Slumdog Millionaire. He's also done Trainspotting and the sequel for Trainspotting. More recently, he's done Yesterday. He's done a bunch of stuff. 28 Days later.
Weeks.
He didn't do 28 Weeks. He produced it.
Oh, he didn't direct
I believe
it?
he produced it, yeah. He's done a lot of different things. Written by John Hodge. This is actually his first feature film that he wrote. He was nominated for an Oscar for writing Trainspotting. He's also done The Beach, the 2015 movie The Program, and A Life Less Ordinary. I believe that's another Boyle film. Cinematography by Brian Tufano, who's done Dreamscape, Billy Elliot, and Trainspotting. A lot of Trainspotting references here. Composer is Simon Boswell. He's done Lord of Illusions and Hardware. Hardware is a horror film. Edited by Masahiro Hirokubo, who's done Ella Enchanted, Aragon, and Breathe. And then produced by Andrew McDonald. I believe this is his first movie he's produced. He produced 28 Days Later, Ex Machina, and the upcoming movie Men, which I'm sure men are the heroes in that, right? No?
Have you seen the trailer?
I have. I'm joking. Yeah, it looks good. It looks creepy, but yeah, we're the bad guys.
That's also done by the Ex Machina director as well.
Yes. Yeah, I know. He's actually, I think McDonald has done... he just did a movie, Annihilation. He did that too. He produced that. Andrew McDonald is actually the father of Kelly McDonald, I believe.
Oh, really?
Actress. Yes. Which I always find funny because she was in Trainspotting. That was her first film, and she's like naked. And I'm like, how do you produce this? And your daughter's like, okay. Like, this. But anyways, I thought that was always interesting. As Butler said, Christopher Eccleston is David Stevens or David. I'm going to say David. There's their last names here, but they never reference their last name, so I don't know why the last names are in the credit. So he's David. He is the 11th Doctor.
He is Doctor number 9. He's the 9th Doctor. 11 is Matt Smith. 10 is David Tennant.
That doesn't make any. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, really?
Yep.
How many? Wait, hold on. Now we're gonna get to some Doctor Who here, because I remember we talked about how the regeneration cycle. They can only have how many?
They originally could only have 13, I believe.
So then Matt Smith had to be 13.
Okay, no, they could only have 12.
Okay, all right.
And the War Doctor was the hidden one, so you thought there was one.
Okay,
there wasn't.
Right. So, anyways, he's in the revitalization of the Doctor Who series. He is the first Doctor, like
he's the first of the Russell T Davies era. Yeah,
he's also in Existenz, Amelia, and he's also in G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra. He played Destro.
He's good in Gone in 60 Seconds as a bad guy.
Yeah,
he plays mean really well.
He's one of those actors though that you don't realize he's in stuff, and then he pops up, and you're like, oh, him. Because he's also in Thor: The Dark World. He plays the bad guy, Malekith.
I hate that movie so much.
That's
I
forgot.
forgot.
That's why I didn't bring it up until now. Ewan McGregor, who's making his feature film acting debut, plays Alex. Everyone probably knows him from Star Wars. He plays Obi-Wan. He's also in the 3rd season of the Fargo TV show where he played twins. He's in Trainspotting as well, and the more recent Dr. Sleep and the commercial on the Super Bowl ads. Kerry Fox plays Juliet. She's Welcome to Sarajevo, Bright Star, and Intruders. Keith Allen. Those are the 3 main leads. Here's a couple of people that are kind of supporting,
sort of in it.
Keith Allen plays Hugo. He was the flatmate that shows up the 4th day that they actually gets the room.
Mm-hmm.
He's Hugo. He is in The Kingsman, The Golden Circle, Eddie the Eagle, and the others. Colin McCready plays Cameron. He's the one that they make fun of in the beginning, and then he's the one that punches Alex later.
Beats the shit out of him.
Yeah, he's in the TV show Taggart and The Last Bus. Ken Stott plays Detective Inspector McCall. he might seem familiar to everyone because he's from The Hobbit. He's in The Dig and Fortitude, the TV show. He's actually, when you see him and you watch him in this movie, you're like, oh, I know this guy, but he's young because all the roles that I have showed you, he's much older. Yeah. John Hodge, who was the writer, obviously, plays DC Mitchell. He's the one that's McCall's partner. And
he's
then
up and coming. He's going to make the grade.
I know. Write that down. Good job. Peter Mullen as Andy. He's one of the bad guys that comes in that's trying to find the money.
Right. Yep.
He's in Warhorse and Children of Men. He's another one that you would see him. He looks familiar. He has a lot less hair now, so that might have thrown you off there when you saw him. So Butler has never seen this film.
Nope.
And never heard of it, right?
I knew the title Shallow Grave, and I knew it was done by a director that I had seen, but I didn't know it was Danny Boyle.
Okay,
but yeah, I didn't know anything else about it.
Excellent.
I just knew it was a movie I should probably have seen.
So now tell me that you didn't like it. Go ahead.
It's okay.
That was coming.
I don't not like it, but I also wasn't like, God damn it, I need to see the next Danny Boyle picture. Trainspotting's amazing. I mean, the next Danny Boyle picture ended up being great.
But it made Danny Boyle who he is today.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like Croupier where I watch it going, I don't think this is great.
Why you have to, any chance you can get this, throw shade on Croupier?
I'm just saying, because that's another movie where it's like up and coming stuff and
English
all that.
film. I got you.
But like, I didn't not like this film, but it suffers from some of the same stuff I think that The Simple Plan had, again, of just like friends turning against each other and stuff. I mean, this was a much quicker pace, which I enjoyed, but I thought also it was kind of all over the place in terms of tone. But there's a lot of dialogue I really like in this. But again, it's also the dialogue's so quick sometimes they don't notice things. And I thought like the changing characters were like super quick in terms of some of that stuff, especially in terms of David and some of the choices some of the characters made were a little, I don't think wrong, but a little confusing to me.
Well, here's to go back to your Simple Plan reference, and then we can get into the other stuff. The 90s, the indie 90s these are the type of movies you saw.
Oh, I know.
Clay Pigeons, which is what we did. This movie, A Simple Plan, Red Rock West, Last Seduction. They're film noir, the dark characters, not so nice characters.
Right.
That's what's
par for the course for 90s indie.
That's what's littered in 90s, a lot of 90s indie stuff, which is probably why I like a lot of the 90s indie stuff, because I like those films.
Yeah, you like.
So I think that just
you like mean people.
Well, I like realistic people. Let's be honest. But this movie probably got greenlit because it's like that movie that we just saw in the States. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's probably why you saw this film. So just to kind of like when you say like it reminds you of that, I think that's what you had here was like a kind of like a copy and everyone's copying.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. So it's like, okay, it's 90s. It's definitely very 90s.
Oh yeah, totally. Which I don't care about.
The flat is absolutely unbelievably ridiculous.
I don't know too much about obviously Edinburgh because it's supposed to be in. It says it's. I'm sorry, it's supposed to be in Glasgow, but they filmed in Edinburgh.
Nope, the other way around. It's supposed to be Edinburgh, but they filmed in Glasgow.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought
right.
Okay, maybe you're right. They also filmed in Newcastle upon Tyne. I don't know about English.
That might be where they draft the car or whatever.
Movie shot in 30 days, so it was quick. Which is it's
one set, a few characters.
We just did a movie that was shot really quick, right?
We did.
What was it? Unsane?
Unsane was shot, very quickly.
Okay, so why don't we go through? I don't want to start this. How do you want to start this? Do you want to start this with characters? The actual act? Or you want to start with you had a problem with the believability of characters' motivations and actions, right? Is that what you said?
As they went on, yeah.
Okay, so why don't we start with David, Christopher Eccleston?
David starts as a very meek person, and it's very unclear at the beginning. Is he Juliet's boyfriend, or they're just flatmates?
Yes. You know what? I think they're just flatmates because Juliet makes a conscious decision to sleep with
David
him
in order to get closer to money.
Right. So I think that's where it started to get. They weren't just friends. That's where they started to kind of start working each other, playing on each other. Yeah.
Because at the beginning, it's not quite clear. It seems like it might be Juliet and David, and Alex is kind of like there and trying to get in there. But
anytime you have a situation where there's two guys and a girl, there's always that rivalry, even if it's unsaid or said.
Sure.
They obviously there's going to be some kind of attractive nature to, just living together.
Yeah, absolutely. But David's very meek. He doesn't really stand up for himself. He's very a by the book, by the numbers kind of guy. Go to work, punch in. He's like an accountant.
Yep.
So he's very numbers oriented, very regimented.
Yep.
Kind of. He's very stuffy, but I don't think he's like super stuffy. I just think he seems
He's conservative.
Yeah, he's not super conservative, but seems more conservative next to like Alex and Julia. Definitely next to Alex, who's like a wild guy, basically.
The note that I have is that Alex is devil may care, David is conservative, and Julia is corruptible. Like she is easily corruptible, which you see because she is the one going back and forth trying to weasel her way to get the money herself.
Right.
David's conservative nature, and then what happens to David as he just kind of turns, it changes him because he has to kill.
He loses it. Well, he doesn't have to kill.
He has to maim the body.
He draws the short straw, so he has to be the one to chop up Hugo.
Yeah.
If they want to all keep the money, they all have to chip in on getting rid of Hugo's body.
Yeah.
Alex, being a reporter, knows how to get rid of the body and knows like what the cops look for. We got to chop off the hands and feet, take off any kind of identifying marks, and you're going to smash all those teeth out.
That was Juliet who said that, right?
No, it was Alex.
Was it Alex?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
None of them want to do it. David draws the short straw, and he's got to.
And he keeps saying, "I can't do it. I can't do it."
Yeah, as they're trying to get leading up to it.
And you wonder if David's saying that, like, because he knows what's going to happen to him. Like, because what ends up happening is David's the one that smashes in the teeth and all this stuff, like Butler said, and then that kind of changes him. Whereas the two guys that are seeking the money, because Hugo dies of a drug overdose. He just dies. He goes. Who knows what his plans were to be in the apartment? I'm even wondering if he stole the money from these two guys, which is kind of what you get a sense of why they're after him.
Stole the money, or they just haven't heard from him, so they assume he stole the money. Either way, these two guys want their money back.
Right. And so David ends up killing them because David's at this point hiding in the attic, just trying to like
guard the money
and doesn't want, because I don't think it's not out of a need to keep it from the other two. It's because he's waiting for the other shoe to drop. He knows that something's going to happen.
He talks about what's the price of, because they go on a spending spree, Alex and Juliet.
Yes.
David comes back and finds out they bought hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of crap.
Yeah.
And he's like, what does this cost? What's the cost of this? And they go, oh, it doesn't matter. The price was this. He goes, no. That's the price. What's the cost?
Right.
Because he knows someone's going to come looking. It's a lot like A Simple Plan, where Bill Paxton's character knows, let's leave this money for a year because we don't know if someone's going to come back for it.
And once you start spending it, people are going to take notice. Yeah.
David's like, no more spending. He drops it in. What is that box he drops it in? Filled with water.
I don't know. It's my question was, why is there a wooden container of water up top in the attic? The only thing I can think of is that's their water. That's, how like in the city and you have the big water.
That's their version of it.
That's kind of like, maybe that's what happens. That filters down for everyone's got that. I don't know.
Like an emergency supply, maybe.
I really don't know.
I mean, probably a super old building. So maybe really old buildings have it.
Maybe it's potable water kind of thing. It's that kind of, in that way.
Right.
I was at a loss for what that was doing up there, because all I kept thinking was, that's just going to start leaking. Like, why would I be worried that it's leaking into the house? The other thing with the building is, like, there's no elevator. Like, we couldn't put an elevator in here.
Well, it's a really old building.
This building is not. So I'm pretty sure there's disability laws in the United Kingdom where you can't have a building where somebody can't get to the top floor if they're disabled.
Maybe not 1995.
Oh, come on. But yeah, that was the other thing. I was like, oh my God, I would not want to live up top if I had to walk up the stairs the whole time.
Right. It's good for you. Get some steps in.
What did you think about the way they were introduced? Because they're not nice.
They're not nice, which you kind of get right off the bat. So it's like, okay, so I don't care about who wins or loses this game, which is fine, because like we keep saying, it's par for the course for the 90s. But you do get that they're friends, that they joke around, that they have a similar sense of humor, even if they're different. They all have this kind of dark sense of humor, which helps, because then you tone shift, but then you kind of come back to it, which is an issue I have.
Well, it kind of sets up the movie's ending, I thought, knowing that these people are not good people, that you know.
Oh yeah, you know right away. With
the money that it's not going.
They'll
to
screw each other over.
Yeah.
But I thought it was all right. I mean, clearly I'm not laughing with them as they're making fun of poor Cameron for no reason.
Yeah, it was good that Cameron punched him.
I loved it when he oh, Cameron, what's up?
Yeah. So anyway, they interview, the opening of the movie is like the first 5-10 minutes are interviewing potential flatmates, and they're just ripping on them and making fun of them. They don't like them. They've already passed judgment.
Make some dude cry.
Yeah. Cameron's one of the guys is like this redhead guy who's obviously like, he plays himself meek. And he's like affable, but they're ripping on him. He doesn't get it. And then he shows up later. They're at a New Year's celebration, and he's selling roses or something like that.
Right. Yep.
And Alex rips on him again. That's this Ewan McGregor's character, rips on him again. And then Alex goes to the bathroom. Colin shows up with his buddies behind him and just beats the crap out of him. And it's like, you're at that point, you're like, good for you.
Yep.
I almost wonder if at that point is when Alex gets knocked down a peg and almost, again, sets up how he is going to respond towards the ending in terms of like changes his character.
I absolutely think so. I think that no longer being on top of the world kind of thought brings him down to, I want this money. I want out.
Right. Or he doesn't like what's happening.
I don't like, things are not good, because he ignores everything and nothing affects him until it directly affects him.
Right.
Even if it's some kind of outside force, he then kind of projects that onto everybody else, because he's on top of the world. They chop up the body. He's watching TV shows with his Pringles, eating his ramen.
Well, he didn't have to deal with it. Yeah,
time. And it doesn't affect him emotionally as much as it affects David. Because even before they chopped it up, it affects David.
Yeah.
It somewhat affects Julia, and it doesn't affect Alex at all.
Right. Speaking of when David's destroying the Hugo body, or the body of Hugo, he's like drooling all over him and like
he's
retching.
Vomiting up. Yeah.
It's like, that's DNA, yo. Like
I thought the same thing.
You're getting DNA all over that place.
But it's only vomit, and it's going to get washed away in the rain. And
if he gets it on the body and it's buried, they could get it. I mean, 2020, 2022, analysis now, maybe back then, no. Maybe I'm also thinking about American analysis, and the United Kingdom is different. Who knows?
There's also if he's in the system too.
True. Well, yeah, that's accurate.
You'd have to then accuse him and get his own DNA after that.
Which, let's talk about the cops. We'll go back to Juliet and Alex a little. I didn't understand. I didn't understand the leaps that they were making to get to suspect these three people.
No, they make huge leaps. It doesn't make any sense unless there was like a deleted scene where, while he's investigating this robbery, he's also similarly investigating the Hugo case.
Right.
Then maybe that would make sense. And he's like, oh, I have a lead on Hugo. He was supposed to be a flatmate here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
it doesn't. Yeah.
It's just like, I know what you guys did. I got a sense of these things. I can sense criminals.
Like the whole thing where he's just like, and 4 flatmates. Huh. Interesting. I thought there were 3. Like, well, where'd you get the 4th one from? Like, where did you hear that?
Which is what David keeps saying. Where'd you hear that?
Yeah. And it's like, who told you there were 4 flatmates? Like, seriously, that's something I want to know.
Yeah, you don't see Hugo sign anything. He pays in cash.
Yeah.
So it's not like they have legal documents saying there's 4 flatmates.
Yeah.
He lived there for a year. He didn't bring up more than 1 suitcase.
And the other thing is, all I'm thinking about is, all you need to say is, well, we were interviewing for a 4th flatmate.
That's what I was
didn't
waiting
agree
for
with
to
it.
say, yeah.
We didn't find anyone we like. Well, just say that.
No.
Yeah. I
Convenience of plot.
I didn't get the leap. I didn't understand how they were on their case. I just didn't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I liked them. I like the way they acted and stuff like that and their characters. Write that down. You can use letters and numbers. Words or numbers. It doesn't really matter. What you use? I use the word. Good lad.
No,
good lad.
I use both.
Oh, he said he used both?
I use both. Yeah.
Good lad. But yeah, the cops just seem to like really take leaps and bounds. And then he drives off during when Alex drives off during the reporting thing, talk about the body. It's like, can you be more suspicious? You're in there as a reporter reporting on this crime. No one's suspecting you until you run off that weird.
Yeah, that is a little, yes, agreed.
And his knee injuries seem to affect him when it's when it was convenient.
I'm surprised they didn't break. I'm surprised.
Absolutely twice in one leg.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't break his legs. Very surprised. That was when the bad guys show up and want to know where the money is. I didn't get how the bad guys figured out where the money was.
The freezer guy told him.
What did he say? Because I didn't understand him.
You can't hear what he says.
Okay.
On purpose.
Okay.
He must have just
He just knows that Hugo was shacking up somewhere.
Yeah. Maybe Hugo told him and we didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put him back in the freezer with the cement blocks on top, with the cement mix on top.
Yeah.
Like, ooh. I do love when David takes those 2 guys out, though. I thought that was really cool. Like, he's waiting for it, so he's just got the upper hand.
Right. When they drops the crash test dummy down.
Oh, the crash test dummy looks so good, though.
I know.
Boom.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, David. At that point, you're kind of cheering for David because you're like, oh, he knows what's up.
I just was a little. The only thing with David is that I didn't understand how Alex and Juliet in the beginning, when David decides to stay in the attic and starts drilling holes everywhere.
Oh no, yeah.
How they seem to take it. They seem to take it okay. Like they didn't. They weren't afraid. They weren't scared for their own safety. You know what I mean?
His turn goes like really hardcore, and you can't tell if he's lost it against them or if he's still waiting for more people to show up.
Yeah,
it's very unclear, and that's what I don't really like about David's turn. It's not just sudden in terms of like, now I'm a cold-blooded killer, like murderer kind of like crazy man, but also like, what are their motivations right now? At least in A Simple Plan, you know each other. You get moments where you understand what each person is thinking and why they want the money, how they would spend the money, and how maybe they're thinking about screwing each other over if they even are.
Mm-hmm.
But in this, you don't really get a good sense of that until that very last scene during the fight. And I like David killing those two guys, but then after that, it's like, wait, so what is he doing now?
Right.
What's the motivation here? Because you have the money, you're in the attic, they go to work, you just leave.
Mm-hmm.
Just take the money and go. When she's in the corner hiding, Juliet's in the corner hiding from him in the kitchen after he thinks she went to work.
Right.
Don't look for her. Get the bag, leave then.
Yeah.
I don't understand a lot of that stuff. It just seemed convenient for the plot.
And then, but he was okay with leaving Alex and him and Juliet leaving, but then like going away. But then he knew that she had the ticket to Rio.
Right.
And so then he was just, what was his plan then? To dump her or when
probably dump her or confront them or just let her go to Rio, but without the money.
Right.
You have the ticket, but you don't have the money kind of a thing.
Right.
It's all very convenient for plot kind of a thing.
I got you.
Yeah. Also, I like how like Juliet is supposed to be a doctor, but she breaks her Hippocratic oath so easy, so often.
Well, she's not a good person. None of these people
I understand none of them are a good person, but like there's no crisis of conscience for any of them really. David's is very quickly evaporated, and he's supposed to be the one that's got the conscience.
Sure.
And I just would have liked a little bit more of a moment where they take it a little bit more seriously what they're doing.
In terms of like they actually talk out what's happening.
Yeah, because even in A Simple Plan, like Billy Bob Thornton's friend, whose name I can't remember, like he's really all about taking the money, but even he grasps the severity of what's going on.
Right.
And I don't think there's ever a grasp of the severity within the three friends.
Well, you can make a case when you compare A Simple Plan with this movie that in A Simple Plan, they're a little older, those guys. So they have a little bit more maturity level. These guys are
20 something.
Yeah, these guys are like mid 20s. So they're just impetuous. They're rash and they make stupid decisions and it's really quick and they don't think about the consequences of what they're doing. Hey, we got money. Let's just get rid of the body and we're good. They don't really think about that.
Right.
So you can make that argument there for why they did what they did. The thing with Juliet is that I don't mind that she's, I guess, prone to being evil, I guess is the best term I can think of, or corruptible, as I said before.
Yeah, easily corruptible.
I think that her character could have easily be written as, what we talk about all the time is, a less than character because she's female.
I do enjoy that she's just as on even terms with all the other guys. Absolutely.
I think that you're always going to have that situation we talked about before where when you have two guys and a girl, there's always that triangle of attractiveness that someone's going to, whatever,
absolutely,
whoever. That's just human nature, but there still are just friends. And really the affection doesn't really come into play until the money enters the picture and corrupts them.
Because she uses that angle then.
Right. Because then she knows that she has an advantage in using her sexuality to entice either David or Alex. Because she even does it with Alex at the dance.
Exactly. Yeah.
So she's trying to play her angle. So she is just as, what's the word I'm looking for? Not mischievous.
Devilish.
I guess. Yeah. She's just as, conniving.
Yes.
As the other two can be. Mm-hmm. I don't think Alex is really conniving. I think Alex is somebody who sees an opportunity, takes it. Like I said, devil may care, spontaneous.
Sure.
And we talked about it already, and never really cares about the consequences until it happens when Connor punches him. And then, like I said, his
actions have consequences.
He starts maturing a little bit and realizes that, okay, wait a minute, now I'm scared. Now, it's not really just, we have money, it's fun and stuff like that. But speaking of Alex, at the end of the movie, he gets stabbed and she plants the knife into him, something good, which I love.
Right. So that he can't leave. Staples him to the floor.
Yeah. He's laughing because he knows that he's above the money, that he got the money, he pulled a switcheroo, and his blood is bleeding on the money under the floorboards. And he has a dream sequence where he's under the floor, and that's supposed to be where he got the idea. Yep. My question is, what point did he do that? Because I couldn't figure that out.
I couldn't figure it out either, because you have this scene where he goes in the attic when David's not up there, and he finds the monies in the well water or whatever. Yeah. But that's before he gets the idea to chop up the newspaper.
Correct.
So I was also confused. I didn't know if it was out of sequence or he went up there another time.
He had to go up there when they weren't up there.
And do it again.
And David's never left the flat.
And David has a key. When David leaves the upstairs to take a shower and stuff, he keeps his key.
Do you think he did it when he went to go bury the bodies?
No, because he took both of them with him because they're huddled in the side of the car as he's driving.
Right, you're right.
Probably to make sure they didn't take the money and run.
So I don't know when he would have done that.
I have no idea.
See, I don't know. So that's why I couldn't figure out, okay, when did he take the money and hide it? I mean, it's a great ending. I love the way it ends.
Right.
But
when she's screaming in the car at the airport parking lot and she realizes she has no money.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah.
He left that one little piece of the $1 or whatever, like right there.
I think it was 10 quid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Although he's going to go to jail for a while.
Alex?
Well, I think so.
Why? He didn't do anything. He could just easily say that I wanted to get out, but
I was afraid.
I was afraid. She took the money. I don't know where it is.
That's true.
And she stabbed me and she killed David. She stabbed me because I was trying to stop her. And she took the money and ran. I don't know where she's going. She goes to Rio.
That's true. So
now, conceivably, they could find the suitcase full of fake money.
And then
he's going to have to wait a while before he uses that money.
Simple plan style. Although that money's probably not marked because that money seemed to have come from an ATM.
Oh, yeah. No. I don't know if it's not marked, but he's going to have to wait before he can use it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But at that point, I would be like, put it in a suitcase, move, wait a year, move away from all that and go start another life with your money and just kind of, spending money.
Well, I would put it into, if we're thinking about how to do that, I'd put it all into bonds. And then the bonds would mature, then cash out your bonds. It might take, 20, 15 years.
I think put some of it, you're still going to need to spend. Let's put it in a cash deposit box.
No, keep some money aside.
Yeah, so you have it. Yeah, get a job.
Your spending money will be the bonds and you'll get the cash back.
And you can say like, oh, I made investments. I was smart investing. Yeah, there you go. I think we know what we're doing.
All right.
So this production was obviously an independent feature and they had to auction off props to raise enough money to buy film stock to finish the movie.
I read that. That's really interesting because you got to make sure you sell the right props. You have to be sure you're done with the props.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. Let's say you're shooting in sequence and you're done with the van or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, that drum set's got to go.
Yep.
Well,
yep.
Did they shoot? It doesn't say they shot in sequence, right?
I don't know. No, I'm just guessing.
Right. Yeah. So drum set's got to go. The giant monkey doll's got to go. Well, those are the expenses.
Well, you saw the expense. You saw some of the stuff like the video camera and all that stuff that they had there, but then
Game
you don't
Boys.
see them anymore.
Yeah.
So then maybe that was the stuff they sold.
I also like that it was $1 million in Bright Quid or whatever. And it cost them $1,000. I didn't know you could rent real money. That was real money in that suitcase.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you could do that. So I thought that was
I'm sure you had your insurance going to cover it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I didn't know movies ever did that. I always thought they printed out fake bills.
Oh, really? Well, I think some do, but some do it that way.
Yeah,
too.
renting out real money. That was cool.
They probably rent out. I wonder what kind of money they use in like productions. Like, is it like, it's probably marked.
It's probably marked or has something on there.
They know that if it enters circulation that it's been stolen, that kind of thing. It's probably money you can't ever use anyways.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, especially as like a new actor, like Christopher Eccleston, Kerry Fox, Ewan McGregor, these are up and coming actors. They've never seen $1 million in a suitcase. So if I was, an actual actor and I open up that suitcase and it's $1 million in real money, I'd have a more real reaction too than seeing it in fake money.
Well, McGregor knows what that money's about now.
Oh, absolutely. Out of the three of them, for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think they're all probably doing well, but yeah. This is Danny Boyle's father's favorite movie.
I like that note. Even Slumdog Millionaire. It's still not as good as Shallow Grave.
Yeah, any movie that he's like, what do you think of this movie? It's not as good as Shallow Grave. That's pretty funny. So one of the things also with Danny Boyle that the film is criticized for having cold/heartless characters. That's something we talked about in the beginning, which we liked. And he responds, and I'm interested in what you think about this. Is his response. He responds by saying that building plausible characters pleases intellectuals like critics, but audiences don't invest too much into characters in film. What do you think about that?
I saw that note, and it's interesting because so often people love characters. People really latch onto characters. They emulate them. You hear about that all the time. People like leave a theater and try to emulate them in character for a while. Let's just get stuck with them. But at the same time, it's true that you don't need a super complex, overly made up. We're talking about the Oscar noms before we recorded this, which by the time this comes out, they probably already happened. But
congratulations to the winner.
how, you make these convoluted characters that are just like overwrought with emotions, way too complex. You dig way too deep and it almost gets boring or bogged down. And you don't want to necessarily view that as the viewer. And sure, I'm sure these guys, they have more depth to them than what we're seeing on screen, but you don't need to see that because we're only spending an hour and a half with them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to know their whole life story. You don't need to know their likes and dislikes, their thoughts, their hopes, their dreams, their nightmares. You don't need all of that. And sometimes you can just have a plot where they're just three kind of unlikable people doing their thing.
Right.
They're not necessarily unlikable, but they are mean-spirited characters.
They're characters that when you watch them, people like them, or you were somebody like that. And so you can relate to that.
Sure. And they
Right.
might be a little bit on the extreme. Like everybody knows an Alex, but he's a little bit more on the extreme of the spectrum
course,
for
yeah.
film's sake.
Yeah, obviously.
I will say this about Alex, though. He is the last character who wants to betray the other two.
He's loyal to his
He's
friends.
the first.
Yes.
He's the most freewheeling kind of, definitely the meanest in terms of like, we got to chop up this body. Let's keep this money. But he's the one that cares the most about his friends, even during the final fight when David punches Juliet.
Yes.
That's when he loses it and goes after David.
You shouldn't have punched her.
You shouldn't have punched her. You could have left with the money.
Right.
He was cool leaving it all behind for his friends, but you shouldn't have punched her. And that's what gets him going.
You could almost he talks them into keeping the money in the beginning, but you could almost he would almost be able to be talked into giving the money to the police.
He's like the Billy Bob Thornton
Right.
character.
But he is more charismatic and stronger in terms of moving the conversation than David is, because if David was the one he would listen, if Alex listened to David, then
Right.
this whole thing would never happen because David was like, we got to turn it in.
Yep. We got to do what's morally right. Yep.
But back to what Boyle was saying, I think that he's correct, because, and I'm talking general audiences,
Right.
When you adapt, this is not an adaptation, but when you adapt books for a movie, a lot of times the biggest hurdle is understanding that you are not doing a book for a movie. You are doing an adaptation of the book, and the book can dive into characters deeper because that's the medium for it. But in a movie, you don't have that luxury.
Yep.
And what ends up happening is you end up having 2.5 hour films that try to do that. And while they might be Oscar darlings and people who think they know about films love them, it's a disservice to connecting with a general audience. Because at the end of the day, I know that some films are not going to make a lot of money all the time. They're not. Right. But at the end of the day, even the most artistic directors want to still make a living out of making movies. And the only way they're going to do that is if their movies make money.
Right.
Granted, again, I'm not saying I'm saying if you are somebody who is more into the artistic nature of film and just trying to whether it's just your messaging, you're not really care about the story too much, but you care about a lot of the other elements, then you need to make your movie for $2 million so that your movie can have a low overhead and you can make more movies as you go on. But if you want to make big, serious films that connect to general audiences, that is something that you need to understand in terms of the difference between script writing and writing a book, writing a novel. And I'm not talking about people that are established now. They already know this, or they don't know this, and who cares? They've got their careers. And that's not, I'm talking about people that are up and coming that want to make movies and tell stories.
Well, I think to latch onto that point, it's not just about making the money. I want to make a living. I think every artist wants to be seen. Most artists who aren't super snobby want to be seen by as many people as possible. They want people to like them.
Yeah.
That's
everywhere. It's human nature.
Everyone wants
human nature.
Like
even the person that there's a curmudgeon and claims that they don't care. They care.
Yeah. The artsy fartsy guy who's like, I love that 4 people love my movie.
Yeah.
Deep inside, he would probably have liked it if, it was number 1 at the box office, not just for the money, but because everyone liked
recognition.
It and so many people saw it. Yeah.
It's why you have people that are contrarians who, when a movie comes out and everyone either hates it, they love it because they want the attention, or when everyone loves it, they hate it because they want the attention. It's so transparent. It's how human nature is. And what's I don't understand is there's so many excuses made for the fact that no, that's not what it's like, but it is absolutely what it's like. We didn't do this podcast because we love talking movies. We do, Well, we want people to know who we are, obviously. We do commercials for crying out loud. What we look like. And, oh, look at how they're doing. You don't think we like that? I mean, we'd be stupid to tell you we didn't like that. We're not dumb.
Yeah.
And we're not stupid enough to not admit that to ourselves. So, like,
and to you guys.
Exactly. So this idea of nobody wants that recognition is complete BS. I don't know. We got on a major tangent, but I think it was
Well, necessary. I think it works with Danny Boyle's. That's what Danny Boyle's saying.
He's saying. Yeah. And he's right. And
I don't want to make that artsy fartsy. Right. And look at Danny Boyle's films. They are very popular films that are also very well done, thoughtful pieces.
Yeah.
Where the characters aren't like overly thought out, but they are well drawn characters that you latch onto and you want to watch. Slumdog Millionaire, 28 Days Later, all that kind of stuff. Even though that's like a zombie movie, it's not. It's really, it looks at Cillian Murphy going through some trauma and stuff like that. But you don't get his whole backstory. Mm-hmm. That's why his movies are both successable and critical darlings.
Slumdog Millionaire is the perfect Oscar film because it's a film that it's good. It's a journey. Your main character succeeds and he wins the girl and he wins the show. And it's such a feel good story that it was going to be an Oscar darling. If you had to screw it up, Danny Boyle didn't screw it up.
Right.
As long as you didn't screw up that story, you were going to get recognition.
Yep.
So but it's a good movie. So I'm not knocking that
right.
as well. Did you see like the research part of this? So
they all did it for a week or whatever. They all did the job.
McGregor worked at a newspaper. Eccleston spent time in an accountant firm, and Fox did a night shift at a hospital. And do you think that mattered?
No, not in the least.
Thank you.
I didn't know what Alex's job was for the longest time. I'm like, what is he? And then he goes, it's a story. I go, oh, he's a writer. What kind of writer? And then you see him at the newspaper. Like, oh, okay.
I thought he was just some kind of data analyst.
Yeah. Halfway through, you're like, okay, that's what he does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely unnecessary. Mm-hmm. Just so Juliet can be in a white robe for 2 scenes.
and then have that scene where the nurse is asking, or the other doctor is asking her about the patient that died, a dead body. And
about the dead body? What dead body?
Yeah, like it's supposed to she's going to betray what actually happened. Yeah.
Well, that's part of what I like the black comedy in the film. I think it really works well. It just kind of pops in and out toward the end. Mm-hmm. Like as soon as David kills the 2 guys, you go, okay, now it's a dark drama. And then it goes back into that comedy for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I also like that they spent time together, a week together in the flat, a flat.
I saw that note as well. That Boyle had that they stayed together for a week before the movie, and they
rehearsed.
Eccleston said the only thing they learned was that they didn't like each other.
Yeah.
But I also have a note that says that Boyle stayed in a 4-bedroom flat with them leading up to production where they interviewed crew members together.
I saw that same note too.
Which one is it?
They probably did both. Interviewed crew members and rehearsed.
Okay, but Eccleston said he didn't like Boyle either. Like,
Eccleston always comes off as a curmudgeon. Like
he does,
especially when he's talking about Doctor Who and stuff. He does. Seems like a bit of a curmudgeon.
He always has a problem in something. Yeah. There's always something going on where in the production he's got an issue. He had an issue with Thor: Dark World with the makeup and all the stuff. It's like he seems like he's always a complainer, a bit of a complainer, which is probably why you don't see him in a lot of stuff.
Which he's a fantastic actor. So yeah,
that's fine.
If he didn't complain, you probably see him.
Yeah,
more.
Maybe that's fine. That's how people are. Whatever. Who cares? Can't whatever. I don't know.
I wanted more seasons of him as the Doctor.
He didn't want to do them.
I understand. Well, now he's doing audiobooks and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it pays the bills. I'm sure that's fantastic.
He's like, I should have done it.
Did you read the note that Danny Boyle avoided guns in the film and his reasoning why?
He didn't want to Americanize it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Which I do usually hate that in films that take place, especially in England and the UK, is just they don't have guns. It's not easy to get guns in the UK. And in so many that try to be like American movies and everyone's got guns.
Films.
Yeah, it's like it's not how it works.
Right.
So this is more realistic in that these are just kind of guys that are just roughhousing people and using everyday objects to torture them. And that makes way more sense. And even in American films, not everyone's going to carry around a gun at all times because it incriminates you.
Right.
Like you get stopped by the police and frisk, you better have a registered firearm.
Yeah.
So I do like that. And I do agree that, as an American, I go, yep, nope, that's right. That is what everybody thinks about us. Everyone thinks we're all strapped.
Yeah. Would you have back to David, would you have liked it if Robert Carlyle played David?
I saw that.
Because he turned it down.
No.
And then he goes on to play the role in Trainspotting, which he's very famous for. He's awesome in Trainspotting. I love it. I can't even say my favorite line.
I don't know. I don't know if I could see him as straight-laced as Eccleston
He might
as
have
David.
Probably would have played it a little differently. I would think
so. Yeah,
he would have got more maniacal, which I kind of would want. I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing it.
I liked how withdrawn David. I mean, even though I think it's just a sudden turn, I do like how withdrawn. Like I believe them being scared of David. Like holy crap,
he's taller than too. He's taller than both.
Oh, that's what I like about that final fight is he's fighting them both off because they're Hugh McGregor's not very tall,
right?
And Juliet isn't either.
Yeah.
So I do like that he's just fighting them all off. And I would also be scared of David's sudden turn as well.
Gotcha.
That's believable. Robert Carlyle is a very short person and very he's scrawny as well.
Yeah.
So I don't believe, like you said, it would be a very different. When that final fight happened, he would have to be almost crazed. It would be a much different kind of fight at the end.
But we're also thinking like Begbie from Trainspotting, I'm sure is in the back of our mind. So
absolutely. Yeah. I like the fact that I guess all the stuntmen had to walk off because they couldn't get paid right before the final fight.
So the actors had to do the final fight themselves, which I'm fine with because it shouldn't look
clean and
it should look dirty and not perfect, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. And I didn't even. You have stuntmen because you don't want the actors to get hurt, but come on. I mean, it wasn't all young. A crazy fight. Exactly. Who cares? I mean, you could tell I couldn't find any notes on how they did the stabbing.
Oh, the shoulder looks bad.
But you could tell that he's
got a prosthetic.
He's in some kind of you can tell that, but that's fine. It still works, so I'm fine with that.
David's throat looks good though.
That
looked
good.
Really good.
Yeah, that probably was just because you hear it and then he lifts up and he's got the little thing.
But it moves a little. Well, they could have fishing wire down.
Maybe, yeah. So I thought that worked well too. So that was good.
But I was like, oh, as soon as he gets it in the throat.
Yeah. And he dies almost immediately, which he does
kinda
shake a little at the end.
He shakes and then you hear his last breath go.
Yeah. Why are we laughing at that?
I don't know. But that's another thing. When they're chopping up Hugo and he goes to smash the teeth, they do a close up on Hugo's face.
Yeah.
The Keith Allen, the actor, his eyes look.
Oh, do they?
Up. They're moving around so much.
I didn't notice that.
I was like, oh, that's so bad.
Because I thought his head was off at that point, right? He had cut his head off at that point?
I don't think they cut his head off.
They just smashed his teeth in.
They just smashed his teeth. But when he's raising the hammer and they close up on his face, the actor's eyes are moving up, clearly looking at, I guess, the cameraman or something. So his focus shifts. I was like, oh. Plus, she closed his eyes.
Maybe they pop back open. Maybe that's a misnomer.
Well, I know in real life, it's really hard. If it's rare for you to die, I guess, with your eyes open. But if you do, you're not closing them. You got to sew them shut.
Yeah. Nice. Good facts. So Janet Maslin from the New York Times says that this misanthropy overwhelms his films in ways that prove more sour than droll, despite the presence of skillful actors and a bizarrely enveloping plot. That's a lot of words there, Janet.
Wait, what? So does she like it or not like it?
I have no idea.
Her review is very all over.
I think she says because it's because there's misanthropic tendencies in the film that it's overshadowing the actors. Like it's just because it's just so
down,
evil and mean and noirish that she doesn't like it.
I guess. I mean, but the thing is, the film's only an hour and a half,
which is awesome.
It doesn't give you enough time to feel that,
and it shouldn't.
Yeah, it gets to the money and the betrayal is super quick that you don't get that kind of slow misanthropy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't agree with that review.
Roger Ebert says that all of the materials are in place, but somehow they never come together.
I would more agree with that.
Okay.
Well, I do like the film. I think it's very imperfect, has a lot of issues, and I think that might be what it is. But that's not him saying necessarily it's bad.
Right.
For no reason.
Although
I like everything in this film, it's misanthropic, so I hate it.
I like the movie a little bit more than you do, and that's fine. I think, like I said, I always have an affinity for independent film. But let me ask you this question about the opening. So the opening is so 90s with the techno dance music starting.
Oh, absolutely.
But then we never get that again. It turns into like this classic film noir score. So
yeah,
I'm wondering what you thought about that.
1960 song at the end.
And then I was because there's so many different ranges of music in the movie. I'm wondering.
It was very 90s. It was like, you got to make it 90s. Let's put this in there. Like, we've done so many 90s films that have that kind of techno opening.
Well, the last one of the season, it has told all that music is Run Lola Run,
right?
Which the opening reminded me of that. But I was wondering what you thought about why the change.
I don't know.
It's off-putting.
It is off-putting. I think that's Danny Boyle just kind of like, I want that opening.
Sure.
And then the composer choosing something else.
Danny, that's enough. We're doing this.
Which I don't think the techno really would work for the film anyway. It's not a film that's steep in a certain, although it is very 90s, it's not necessarily it doesn't use the 90s as part of its story to center itself, you know?
You could have had like a Hitchcockian score on a Bernard Herrmann score in there, but that would set the mood for you a little bit. So I don't know if that would throw you off.
Well, that's like The Machinist.
Yep. We love that part.
Yeah, exactly. But they didn't find that until they did it at the edit. And they go, oh man, this is a Hitchcock movie.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, that's true too. And maybe Danny Boyle was the same way. Maybe he always wanted that opening and he didn't realize, I'm going to make this indie 90s, you know, I'm going to be this guy, Richie. And it ended up being, oh no, it's a noir. Never mind.
Yeah.
As he watched it, goes, no, that's not right. For this.
Do you think it would have benefited more if it had more like a Simple Plan style music or Red Rock West, a film like Last Seduction kind of music, like that kind of?
I actually thought the music worked for the film, other than the opening.
Well, my whole thing was the fact that it changes. They started with that. With the techno, it goes to the film score, and then it goes to that little old timey song.
But that's also part of It's All Over the Place.
Oh, I got you.
But that's like them being friends, and it's a comedy. It's like a black comedy, and then it goes into actually like it's a thriller.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so disjointed in certain places. And I know that song he heard, and he kind of like that was like a last minute kind of like, oh okay, I think I want to put this in my movie.
Yeah.
So it's all a little kind of all over the place, but I think the music mostly works.
Well, it didn't matter because they had a hit and they knew they had a hit and can when they had it, they showed it once
and that came back with 3 screens.
Yeah, they showed it once and it was packed and people wanted to see it again or wanted to watch it, so they had to add 3 more shows. So they already knew they had a hit. I'm sure he had already signed Trainspotting after that. So, but yeah. So I got a couple of quick little things we can get to, just kind of like notes I had that really couldn't squeeze in. Did you know that the screenwriter was a doctor in real life? I don't know if he is still now.
I read that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of cool.
Well, that's like Michael Crichton.
He was a big time doctor,
right,
and his first couple of books were medical books or medical based.
Yeah, he wrote a book called In Case of Need that he had to write under a pseudonym because it was about abortion, and at the time, abortion was a hot button topic, and people weren't going to do it, so he had to use a pseudonym to write that in. But it's actually a really good book. But it was one of his earlier books,
right? And then Andromeda Strain was right after that.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
they did the Great Train Robbery.
He was like a ER. He was an ER surgeon or an ER.
He was an ER
something like that.
Because that's why ER is based on his experiences, or at least the first couple episodes.
Oh, you mean with George Clooney? Awesome. What did you think about how Juliet never answers the phone, and then the one time she does, it's not good? Did you get that? Did you catch that? Tell them I'm not here, and it's always she's not there. But then she answers it, and it's not good that she answers it.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's the 2 guys that are looking for
no answer.
Yeah,
but what would it have?
I'm just curious what you thought about that little. That's like a little thing.
It's a little thing that lets you know, hey, bad things are about to happen.
Sure.
So I kind of liked it. So it let you know that, hey, this movie's about to take a turn.
Sure.
It was almost signaling like, hey, guys, you're waiting for this moment to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't care about the phone thing. I thought there was going to be a bigger payoff.
Sure.
And it ended up just basically being David's character standing up to that one guy.
I just think it's a little bit of just kind of like she never answers the phone. She does, and no one's there.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
And I was like, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. I just thought that was interesting. When they dump the car into the quarry. So that's Alex pushes the car into the water-filled quarry. So in the production, the car had a ballast and was meant to inflate so that they can retrieve the vehicle, but it didn't work. And Danny Boyle says he thinks the car is still there. So they basically threw a car in this water and we're just like, all right, we're good. Let's move on, which I totally get.
Yeah, but I'm surprised the state didn't go, no, get out.
If they read this note, they probably were like, oh, crap. But they probably didn't know back then. Everyone move away. Pretend it's gone.
No, yeah, we took the car out. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody.
I've been there.
I like that most of the production budget went into the creation of the flat.
You had to, because the flat is a big part of it.
Yeah, but I thought the flat was just like, I didn't realize it was a set. I thought they just found a flat.
Yeah.
But it's a ridiculous flat. Because the other thing was, it seems like David is being interviewed by the police at the same time that Alex and Julia are in the apartment in some scenes, which was a little off-putting to me. Okay. Did you find that as well?
What, no, I don't think they were there. They thought they were at work.
No, because they have scenes where they're talking in the apartment. And then you flash back to David doing different answers.
Oh no, I thought they weren't together at the same time. I thought it was just a flash.
No, it's like
okay. No,
or maybe they aren't, and it's done in different times.
It didn't bother me too much.
I was a little confused because I was like, "Where is this? How big is this flat?"
I mean, David's not doing himself any favors. He's coming off as a creep, so it's not.
How'd you know there were four?
Yeah.
How'd you know there were four? How'd you know there were four?
I mean,
What'd you hear?
I mean, I understand how the cops, like we talked about this already, but I understand how the officers
can get a suspicion of something's up.
Knew what was going on once they talked to them. I just don't know how they got to that leap to go to the flat. That's all. But like you said, maybe we missed something.
Yeah, the Shining.
The shinning, as it is in The Simpsons.
You don't want to get sued.
I guess so. I guess we're at that moment where I ask you this question. Question that's obviously popular amongst the Forgotten Cinema faithful.
Why is it forgotten?
Why is it forgotten, Butler?
Because Trainspotting is a lot better and a lot more well known and has some of the same actors. And I think a lot of people like me think that's Danny Boyle's first movie because I thought that was Danny Boyle's first movie. And I mean, this isn't hard to find. You can rent it. It's just not on a streaming service.
Sure.
I do think if this was on a streaming service with Christopher Eccleston, with Ewan McGregor, with Danny Boyle's name, this would absolutely like blow up on Netflix if it popped up. People would watch. This would be like one of those, hey, it reached top 10 for a day.
Maybe.
Because I think people would be like, what is this?
I don't know if people know Danny Boyle too much now. Danny Boyle was big back then.
He has kind of slowed down a little bit.
Well, I just don't think he's not he's not new and up and coming and he's not doing the Marvel film. Yeah. So it's, I don't.
His last movie was Trainspotting 2, which again was still
which
an
I
indie.
still have not seen, which bothers me.
I thought you saw it.
I never saw it. And it ticks me off that I never saw it. I'm gonna put it on the board. I wanted to. I was like, oh, T2, and then it never came out around here.
I think it was streaming for a while, but I don't think it's streaming anymore.
Off, and I never found it. I'll get it, but I never I never just went back to it. And, because that's the one thing I love that there's so much content out there, but it's so much that you forget about the movies you wanted to watch.
Yep.
That really, but yeah, no, what is his new one? I think I saw it. It's we did Yesterday. It's tough. We talk about this
I like Yesterday. Yesterday was good.
With the pandemic, it's tough because, everyone was put on pause and you just kind of have to find your normalcy again, which thank Christ we're coming back to. Apologies for the swear, but not really. But, but anyways. So you think it's forgotten because everyone remembers it more from Trainspotting. I agree with you there. I think people always tend to, when they say Danny Boyle, if they know film,
or young Ewan McGregor,
we'll say 28 Days Later, Slumdog Millionaire. I think Ewan McGregor really didn't. When do you think Ewan McGregor really popped Trainspotting?
Trainspotting.
Yeah. But I will say that
the toilet bowl.
What's up?
The toilet bowl.
I do wish people would know more about this movie because I know that while you thought it was just
a fun
okay,
watch. I
it's
enjoyed
a good
watching it.
I think it's a good. I think it's a great first film for Danny Boyle. And honestly, do you really want your first film to be the best thing you ever do? No, because you're going to be downhill from there.
Be able to catch up.
Right.
Then you did Trainspotting.
But he won an Oscar for Slumdog, so he doesn't. And
I like 28 Weeks Later.
Danny Boyle is a good director, a very good director. So if you don't really know, odds are you've seen his films because the other thing is he does so many different types of films,
which I love,
different types of genres.
Which I always say about a good director needs to everyone says, oh, Martin Scorsese. It's and he is an amazing director.
But
it'd be nice to see him go out of his comfort zone and do other movies to really prove himself, like Spielberg has done.
But he does. Well, he did Kundun. He has
done a few. Yeah.
Scorsese has to his
But
credit.
Danny Boyle goes all over the place with his movies, which I think really nice.
Which is nice. He's very not flexible, adaptable. Yeah. That's probably the best word.
He's got range.
Range as a director.
Yeah.
But I really think if you do like his films and you do like the other films that we have done on this show, like Clay Pigeons,
Red Rock
West. I know we didn't do The Last Seduction, but we talked about it a lot. Did we do The Last Seduction? No, we did do The Last Seduction. Simple Plan.
Yeah, if you like
Shallow Grave is like this. Is very much like this, and it's a 90-minute quick hitter.
That's nice. It's less than that. That's the thing is although I have a lot of problems with the movie, you always ask me if I would recommend this movie to people.
Totally.
I would recommend this to anybody.
This is a good movie.
Watch.
This is a good watch.
It's a movie night movie.
Saturday movie night movie or a double feature because it's 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So absolutely. No,
you see a bunch of young up and coming actors. You've seen a bunch of other stuff and young director and screenwriter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Where can they find us?
You can find us on ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com or ForgottenEntertainment.com as we are part of the Forgotten Entertainment family. While you're there, check out all our other great podcasts and videos and all that good stuff. And then you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. It all helps our podcast grow and get noticed by other people. And then join us in the lobby on Facebook, the Forgotten Cinemas of the Lobby, where we talk about the movies. Let us know if you've seen Shallow Grave, what you think about it, what you think about its use of kind of 90s tropes on characters and plot and all that kind of stuff. And that's it.
Next week, we're popping out of the 90s. We're going to 2008, where we're looking for a fixer, and his name is Michael Clayton. So, we both
This is one of the initial lists movies.
I believe so. I think so. I think pretty much everyone that likes this movie. I don't know anyone that doesn't like it, or they either like it or they haven't seen it.
Right.
But it's definitely one that I know we're big on, but we'll try not to gush too much. We'll try to bring some facts.
I don't like this part of the movie. I don't remember any part I don't like.
I love the ending. That's one. I'm sure that if you were, I'm not saying that you're not an active actor, but if you were out there, performing monologues, this would be one of the monologues you'd want to do. His ending.
Have you seen it more than once?
Yes.
Okay, I've only seen it the once.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no,
I only saw it in theaters.
If it's on HBO and it's towards the end, I keep it on because I'm like, I want to see the ending again. But I love him. Tom Wilkinson's great. We'll get to that.
Amazing.
We'll get to that next. The scene when we'll get to that.
We're just gonna gush over the whole.
No, I know. Here we go. All right, so that's all I have. Everyone have a great week. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler,
and this has been Forgotten Cinema.